Real Story of Cinderella. In a verdant valley, cradled by rolling hills and bisected by a sparkling river, stood a modest yet charming estate. Here lived Ella, a young girl whose spirit was as bright and clear as the morning dew. Her days were filled with laughter shared with her loving parents, her mother, a woman of gentle wisdom and artistic hands, and her father, a merchant whose bustling life never overshadowed his deep affection for his family. Ella learned to draw and paint with her mother, to tend the garden with her father, and to find beauty in every corner of their idyllic life. She was known throughout the village not just for her striking beauty, hair like spun moonlight, eyes the color of a summer sky, but for a kindness that radiated warmth to all who met her. However, the delicate fabric of her happiness was destined to fray. A sudden, cruel illness stole her mother, leaving a void that even her father's boundless love could not entirely fill. In his grief and loneliness, and hoping to provide a maternal figure for Ella, her father remarried. He chose a widow, Madame Tremaine, a woman of once great beauty now hardened by a life of perceived slights and unfulfilled ambitions. She brought with her two daughters, Drizella and Anastasia, who were, unfortunately, reflections of their mother's sour disposition, loud, ungracious, and consumed by envy. At first, Madame Tremaine maintained a facade of polite affection, but her true nature soon began to unfurl like a thorny vine. She was deeply jealous of Ella's innate grace and natural charm, qualities her own daughters lacked despite all her efforts to cultivate them. With her father frequently away on long merchant journeys, Ella became increasingly vulnerable. The fine clothes were replaced with rags, her comfortable room exchanged for a cold attic, and her days once filled with learning and leisure were now burdened with endless chores. Her stepmother, with a malicious glint in her eyes, nicknamed her Cinderella, after the cinders and ashes that frequently stained her face from cleaning the hearth. This cruel moniker soon replaced her birth name, a constant reminder of her diminished status. Cinderella bore her hardships with remarkable resilience. She found solace in the quiet companionship of the mice and birds that frequented the dusty corners of the house, whispering her dreams to them, tiny confidants in a world grown cold. She never allowed her spirit to be entirely extinguished, polishing her virtues as meticulously as she polished the floors. She knew, deep in her heart, that true worth lay not in silk gowns or grand titles, but in kindness and integrity. Years passed, marked by the steady rhythm of Cinderella's ceaseless labor and the persistent cruelty of her stepfamily. Then, an announcement arrived that set the entire kingdom abuzz. The king, eager for his son, Prince Kit, to find a suitable bride, was hosting a grand ball. Every eligible maiden in the land was invited, and Cinderella, despite her lowly position, felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, this was her chance. Her stepsisters, Drizella and Anastasia, were ecstatic. They spent weeks preparing, demanding Cinderella's tireless assistance in pressing their gowns, styling their hair, and mending their petty squabbles. Cinderella, though weary, performed her duties without complaint. When she dared to express her own wish to attend, her stepmother erupted in mocking laughter. "You? Go to the ball? Look at you, girl. In those rags? You would disgrace us all." Yet, with a twisted smile, she added, "Very well. If you can finish all your chores and find something suitable to wear, you may go." Cinderella knew it was a cruel jest, an impossible task. But her animal friends, witnessing her despair, had a plan. While she toiled, they gathered forgotten ribbons, beads, and scraps of fabric, diligently fashioning a beautiful gown for her. It wasn't opulent, but it was elegant and undeniably hers, made with love and hope. When she presented herself on the evening of the ball, Drizella and Anastasia, consumed by bitter jealousy at her unexpected transformation, fell upon her. In a flurry of shrieks and tearing fabric, they ripped her dress to shreds, leaving her heartbroken amidst the ruins of her hopes. Her stepmother, watching with a satisfied sneer, simply stated, "Now, do you understand, Cinderella? You belong here." As the carriage carrying her stepfamily rattled away towards the palace, Cinderella collapsed in the garden, weeping tears of utter desolation. It was then, amidst her deepest despair, that a soft, warm glow enveloped her. Before her stood a kindly woman, radiant and serene, holding a wand. "Do not despair, my dear," the woman said, her voice like chimes in the wind. "For I am your fairy godmother, and I have come to help you." Cinderella, bewildered but hopeful, listened as her fairy godmother explained that true kindness deserved to be rewarded. With a wave of her wand, a pumpkin from the garden was transformed into a magnificent gilded carriage. For scurrying mice became majestic white horses, a scruffy dog became a stately footman, and a tired old horse transformed into a grand coachman. "But what of my dress?" Cinderella asked, still in her tattered rags. With another flick of the wand, her torn dress shimmered, transforming into a breathtaking gown of shimmering silver, adorned with delicate lace and sparkling jewels. On her feet appeared a pair of exquisite glass slippers, shimmering like frozen starlight. "Now you shall go to the ball," her fairy godmother declared. "But remember, my dear, this magic is potent, but temporary. At the stroke of midnight, the spell will break, and everything will return to its original form. You must be home before then." Filled with gratitude and renewed hope, Cinderella promised to heed the warning and stepped into her carriage, feeling like a true princess for the first time in her life. Upon her arrival at the palace, she was instantly the center of attention. Her beauty, amplified by the magical gown and her innate grace, captivated everyone. The prince, who had found the other maidens rather dull and predictable, was instantly smitten. He danced with no one else, utterly charmed by her wit, her gentle smile, and the genuine kindness that shone in her eyes. Cinderella, lost in the joy of the evening, forgot her troubles, forgot her stepfamily, and, for a precious few hours, simply existed as herself, unburdened and free. Her stepmother and stepsisters, consumed by their own efforts to catch the prince's eye, never recognized her. As the clock began to chime 11:45, Cinderella remembered her fairy godmother's warning. Panic seized her. She gracefully excused herself from the prince, who, utterly captivated, pleaded with her to stay. But Cinderella knew she could not. She rushed from the ballroom, down the grand staircase, leaving the prince bewildered and heartbroken. In her haste, one of her delicate glass slippers slipped from her foot and remained on the steps. She fled into the night, the magic unwinding around her. As the final stroke of midnight chimed, the carriage reverted to a pumpkin, the horses to mice, and her magnificent gown to rags. She stood once more, a humble girl by the roadside, holding only one glass slipper, the sole remaining proof of her enchanting night. The prince, determined to find the mysterious maiden who had stolen his heart, issued a royal proclamation. He would marry the woman whose foot fit the glass slipper. His Grand Duke traveled throughout the kingdom, trying the slipper on every eligible maiden. When he arrived at Cinderella's estate, her stepsisters eagerly crammed and contorted their feet, but to no avail. The slipper was a perfect fit for no one but its true owner. Cinderella, watching from the shadows, timidly asked if she might try. Her stepmother scoffed. "You? Impossible." But the Grand Duke, intrigued by her gentle demeanor and a faint memory of having seen her at the ball, though he couldn't quite place her, insisted. As Cinderella delicately placed her foot into the slipper, it slid on with effortless perfection. The Grand Duke, astonished, knew he had found her. Then, from her pocket, Cinderella produced the matching glass slipper. Madame Tremaine, furious and defeated, tried to deny it, but it was undeniable. Cinderella, no longer the ash-stained girl, stood before them, radiant even in her rags. With a joyous cry, she was taken to the palace. The prince, overjoyed to finally reunite with the woman he loved, asked for her hand in marriage. Cinderella, now free from her servitude and embraced by true love, accepted. They were married in a magnificent ceremony, and Cinderella, once cruelly named, became a beloved princess, ruling with a kindness and wisdom that never faltered. She forgave her stepmother and stepsisters, allowing them to live in the palace, though they never quite shed their envious ways. But Cinderella's heart was too full of joy and love to hold on to bitterness. She lived happily ever after, a testament to the enduring power of kindness, resilience, and the magic that lies within a truly good heart. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe the channel and like the video. Thank you.